Alright, boys and girls, game on! We have our next game up and we are on Last Refuge here at the GenoZ Cup? Butchering the pronunciation for sure, but down to the bottom left we have too much sauce, also known as Deuce, and yeah, Undead player, as you can see right in front of you, starting here with a Graveyard and Crypt, so already starting with a Fiend build immediately, whereas up to the top right, hailing from Canada, it is KiwiKaki! Oh yeah. Okay, so obviously, old school Orc player from the good old times, Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos and Frozen Throne, now coming back for Remastered or Reforged, which is going to hit next year, at least the beta. And yeah, KiwiKaki so far in round number 2. This opponent here should be a little bit tougher for him, Orc versus Undead matchup, that's what we're currently focusing on. And in the last game we had a Farseer first, against Undead you see a lot of Blade Master, but then KiwiKaki, he likes his Farseers and he's sticking with it for now. So Farseer on his side. I would be shocked to see anything else in the Altar of Darkness than Death Knight as the first hero. But we're going to find out how exactly he's going to start the game. But if you go into Fiends, you want to have a Death Knight. You need the Death Call to keep them alive. So we're going to see how that's going to work out for him. Tomb of Relics also being built. So I mean, the whole idea here is really to just... You can see that he's sticking with a double ghoul, so he's not even going into a third. So we're definitely going to see Fiends for him. Another couple of batches of gold, and then he should be fine. So right now there's the Death Knight, then we have the first Fiend being built, and the Death Knight is going to pop out roughly at the same time, or shortly after the Tomb of Relics is completed. And that means you can immediately go for the Rod of Necromancy. Rod is the most important... Ooh, a super fast tech. Whoa! Look at that, going into a Great Hall before anything else. KiwiKaki, definitely in the past known to throw a couple of interesting strategies around, and he's doing the same thing already. Now keep in mind, the Undead player has actually not scouted. He didn't send out an Acolyte or anything, so he does currently not know what's happening here. But this is actually a really nice switch up that we're seeing from him. We have a very early War Mill, we have again the barracks being built, potentially Headhunters, but with that early tech into Great Hall, we see a super fast tech here on the side of KiwiKaki. And now just the question, how much harass can he really put on with this particular move here? When you're looking towards too much sauce, aka Deuce, then you already see the Rod of Necromancy here in the inventory, and that's one of the best items that you can really have as an Undead player. It's one of the strongest items that comes out of the Tomb of Relics, just simply because it allows you not only to harass a lot more successfully, it also allows you to creep a lot safer. Double Fiend already, no experience on the Death Knight just yet, because we saw the Farseer resummon the Spirit Wolves, and already a bit of mana sacrificed here to keep those Fiends alive. But by now we have 4 skeletons and you can start to creep the small camps here. But as you can see, KiwiKaki is a man on a mission. I could say he's a man on a wolf, but his mission at this point is to just piss the Undead player off. It's basically like the name of the game right now. Keep him busy and make sure that he cannot get too far ahead with his hero levels, because Undeads really rely heavily on late game hero levels when they can nuke the shit out of any opponent, especially low HP opponents like the Farseer. And in the meantime, you can already tell that up here we have grunts being produced, we have the Great Hall nearly done, so it's all about that fast tech that KiwiKaki is currently putting in here. Undead, of course, is also teching up to the Necropolis, but way later than what we're seeing from the Orc. Also, Nerubian Tower being built, that helps against the Blade Master harass in the early game, but it also helps very much so against Spirit Wolves that are trying to chase you down. So that's going to be super important. And well, as we can see right now, up to the top right, we're having immediately double Beastery being built. Now this is actually a little bit old school what we're usually seeing here, because what you normally do with that is you go into Wyvern. We could have seen him with some kind of tech into Raider as well, but if you go for such a fast tech and you're really trying to go for double Beastery, then Wyvern are usually the weapon of choice. The problem is you're actually building that into Fiends. That can be a little bit tricky, because they are one of the anti-air units that Undead have, as long as you research web for them. But it depends a lot on how you actually use those Wyverns. Is it just simply harass? Are you trying to go for a timed push? And we still don't know if he actually commits to a double Beastery Wyvern play here, or if you're going to see him with a bit of a different approach instead. So we're going to check that out soon. In the meantime, Harass is still starting, and slowly and steadily the Death Knight is getting a bit of extra experience here. Is starting to completely creep through that. Already, Farseer starting to retreat, but you can see he has no experience. So the entire idea was really just piss the Undead off, make sure that he can't get those camps too easily. We have now Shadow Hunters being built, and we see Raiders. Now, I like Raiders way more. So already going into Ensnare here, and with the Raiders he can then start to also put a lot of pressure onto structures in particular, since Raiders do of course extra damage. Let me also double check the sound volume a little bit. As we just heard, sound is a little bit too high, so music volume down. This should have been lower in the first place. But yeah, either way, we're having Raiders committed to, and with that you already are gonna... Again, there's potential to just move in and try and snipe structures. With the Scroll of Speed, for example, you can easily do that. We are now even having the Black Citadel attack for our Undead player, who's still doing a merry creep around here. We're seeing him by now with the Mantle of Intelligence. That's very likely to end up on the second hero, assuming that we're gonna get a Lich here. And the Claws of Attack +6. Same thing here, both of those items are more or less screaming, hey, we want to have a ranged hero. And the Lich is doing pretty well with that, especially since his main attribute is of course intelligence. Few more items that spec into stats. It's not too bad for him either. And by now we're having the first raid out as well. Now when we're talking about timing attacks and stuff like this, and of course one of the main questions is always like, when exactly do you execute an attack? Like, what are you going to do with it? And if you go into such a heavy fast tech, as we have seen from KiwiKaki here, you try and get something out of that early game tech advantage. And so that's what we can expect from him, to at some point surprise the Undead, maybe force the town portal at least through those ensnares and play around that. For now though, he's just completely happy to make sure that he's starting his creeps. We see Hex coming in against the main creeps the entire time. Double level up here for the heroes as well. There's that Scroll of Speed that we've been talking about earlier. And we have the first Raider on the way. Make that a double? Nope. Expansion attempt apparently here from him. And still, oh, there's the triple Raider down here. Alright, so he's just trying to harass that spot a little bit. He's already scouted that out. We have 4 Raiders by now, and he is actually trying to harass with those Raiders a bit outside of his heroes creeping. Now that's something that in general you're going to see a lot once that WarCraft 3 is starting to pick up, and I think in Reforged that's going to be the same, that you are creeping with heroes while you are harassing with units. And he needs to be careful because the Lich is here, but with the Ensnare, he can just really use that little skirmish group here to be annoying. But now we're already seeing Deuce starting to move in. He's a little bit behind when it comes to supply, but that Ensnare from the creep camp did definitely not... Oh, what? That was 8 hit points before the healing self hit. Holy shit. That was definitely an annoying spot here for the Undead. That's not something that he was really too happy about. Looked at that and was just like immediately, okay, that didn't really work.
Players' forces are
didn't I put the D on? I thought I did. Apparently that's still not blocking it. Okay, my bad. Alright, here come those ensnares. Yeah, of course, once again, we're not only having on the side of the Lich the armor, frost armor being used first, but also that coil is, at least for now, saving most of those fiends. One might fall just now, and yep, Death Knight not having the cooldown ready. Another one being ensnared here immediately. Also Rod of Necromancy starting to do a bit of work here. DK still working hard, or hardly working. Obsidian Statue trying to make sure that he still has a little bit of extra hit points, but so far he's doing fairly well. Problem, of course, is that KiwiKaki is starting to lose quite a bit of units here. 41 supply for him. Death Knight on 3 with that level 2 coil can easily keep those fiends alive, but can't coil an Obsidian Statue. So that's the focus, at least for now, for Kiwi. But it's really starting to be a little bit problematic here. Statue will fall eventually. It's around against the Grunt here, and he falls. But KiwiKaki is losing quite some ground here, and he's trying to expand behind all of this. The Lich, on the other hand, is in trouble, and there's not enough mana on the Death Knight to get that coil through, and that's a huge problem. Needs a little bit more. Expansion has at least been found out right now, but it looks like that Lich is going to bite the dust. Hero down, Scroll of Speed already used to make that kill possible, and at this point, we're having now the Kodo Beast already with 1 Fiend devoured, and more Raiders are coming in, and all of a sudden, Deuce is in trouble. The coil trying to save the Fiend yet a bit too late, and the town portal out, as the Undead player is just barely able to get away with 1 Fiend. It was actually a pretty nice back and forth that we just had there. Initially, it didn't really look too hot for KiwiKaki after I lost a couple of his raiders, but that kill against the Lich and that focus was really nice. Getting the Fiends right afterwards, having the Kodo in play for the Devour was also strong, and now of course he's in a really good spot. Has gained the map control, he has the expansion basically completed and is starting to mine from 2 bases. And this is really one of those positions where the Undead player, where Deuce has to really start making a little bit of headway in the experience department, and he needs to make sure that he has a strong army that he can send over with, for example, destroyers on tier 3, where he can just attack that base. Because the longer the game lasts now, the better the economic advantage or the situation that we are seeing for KiwiKaki. And he has now the Farseer on level 3, same is also true for the Shadowhunter. So that bad boy is on 3 as well, and he is continuing to creep these camps, and that's of course also dropping additional items into his hand. Not only the claws, but we are talking again about the Scroll of Healing that he just bought and the Scroll of the Beast. Now granted, Scroll of the Beast, that's one of those things that once destroyers are in play, I'm not gonna give you too much. It's a lot on timing and when exactly you use it, but it's still nice to have in a pinch. Having a Potion of Greater Healing, that's an Orc player's wet dream if you're going up against an Undead. Would be surprised to see also Potion of Lesser Invulnerability eventually being taken here from the shop, but that's definitely a good one. Book of the Dead for the Death Knight. Well, that isn't too shabby. There's no Torrent Totem on the side of KiwiKaki just yet, meaning we're having very little, aka no, Dispel, and therefore a Book of the Dead is actually pretty solid. Talking about books, Tomb of Intelligence and Tomb of Agility. Now we've seen a couple of tombs not taken earlier too. I'm not quite sure if the players just didn't see them or if there wasn't a bit of an observer bug that showed tombs even though they were already taken. That could literally be the case here. Deuce is again in a bit of a weird spot because he wants to attack the base up here, and he does, but at the same time there are raiders in his, and right now KiwiKaki makes the perfect move. He goes immediately for the Black Citadel and he says like, bro, if you don't TP back, I am going to snack your main structure, and that thing is going to fall. We're going to see ensnares on those acolytes. I'm not going to be able to repair anymore, and that TP is too late, my friend. That TP is simply too late. You just traded your main base for an expansion, and all of a sudden we're in a really awkward spot for the Undead. He is really in a massively bad spot right now. Main building is already gone, and any kind of tech you annihilate at this point is going to be fantastic for you. So far, we're not seeing the gold mine being attacked, so that's something that he doesn't get, but the shop is about to fall. He's already in negative supply, 43 of 20, and anything that KiwiKaki can kill right now is going to be fantastic. And he still has that town portal, and he immediately uses it to move out here. So that's a horrible spot for the Undead to be in. KiwiKaki is sitting at 52 supply. He just went into the low upkeep, and up at the top, that base barely down because the Book of the Dead was summoned. But still, if you look at it, Kiwi still has a really nice income. He has a couple of Wyverns as well. He makes a tech switch into air. There's a bit of scouting going on, but I really doubt that the Undead has seen too much of that. And he needs to get all of his supply back, and that means a double Ziggurat is being built right now, and the Necropolis is also on the way. But the spot that Too Much Sauce, aka Deuce, is in right now is a really bad one. So he immediately makes a bit of a more risky choice, and he says like, I need to do something. I need to hope that I get some good items. So he starts creeping the red spots, gets the Hood of Cunning here, another item for the Lich. Lich has at least the Orb of Corruption. He has Robe of the Magi and Mantle of Intelligence. Also Claws of Attack +6. Probably going to switch the Rod of Necromancy out for the Hood of Cunning. That's at least what you would expect, but at this point you really rely on the heroes, because that was not quite the spot where you wanted to be if you are so he's trying to make sure that that camp or scouts that out a little bit, but KiwiKaki by now has nearly a level 4. We are seeing him also with the Mana Stone as well. It's great for the Shadowhunter, of course. Has the Potion of Healing. I would still love for him to go to the shop and maybe get a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, but then again, if you think about it, he lost his expand, so it's not like he has a ton of money at this point, but he's sitting at comfy 50 supply, and he's also getting additional items. Even a tiny Great Hall now, once again being used, and this time I can actually showcase that too. Nice attempt here, I like that. Deuce is actually going straight for the second red spot, he's really just trying to get the boss items at this point. So already, here's the tiny Great Hall. We're going to see another expansion for him in a sec, but let's see what that Overlord drops, because that's going to be crucial. If he can get an aura here, that would be absolutely fantastic for him. And we might see that for him. It is the... Oh my god! If you're an Undead player at this point, you just want to puke into anything, because that is literally the aura that we already have on the death. That is the most useless item that he could have gotten at this point. This is literally just, hey, I just found gold. That's literally what just happened. I mean, first of all, what's great for Deuce is once you take those camps, you also get gold because you take down those creeps. That's huge already as is. But at the same time, you want to have big items. You want to have strong items that really help you in these fights, especially as an Undead player here right now. But when you're looking over to that Legion Doomhawk, that's literally just something that he is going to sell. Because it just gives you the Unholy Aura that you already have anyways, on level 2 as it stands. Now the Death Knight is level 5, that means level 3 Coil, that Lich has a level 2 Nova, and that's pretty powerful. But we've been talking about the nukability of these heroes. There is a Potion of Healing, we have a Potion of Greater Healing, Scroll of Healing too, Town Portal is also still available. Again, I would have loved to see a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, but the fight is still starting up here, and this is going to be a decisive one, because again, it's 1 base against 2 base right now. Air units in the mix, and those Fiends, they don't have web. The Fiends without web, and that's a huge issue. Nice Hex that we're seeing here, trying to make sure that he gets a couple of more units taken down, and that Lich already on the run, but we still have the webs, the ensnares are coming through. Another Fiend goes down, 56 supply for KiwiKaki, the Orc player looking strong, 37 for the Undead. Deuce is in a huge amount of trouble right now. He's literally hinging everything on his heroes, but that Lich is not looking too pretty at this point. He's running out of mana as well, and now we're seeing one statue after another just being sniped here. He's just going up to the top, he sees the expansion, and that is really one of those moments where you can already think about typing GG. If he wants to come back into this game, he needs to kill heroes. He needs to get some hero kills, but I just don't see it happen. Just look at that army that is coming his way now. We have the immediate Hex onto the Lich. Yes, that Coil hits home, but where are those Raiders? Raiders are actually completely gone. Wyvern are still down here, but there we go. Raider is in, there comes the Ensnare. Immediate surround attempt by KiwiKaki here. Frost armor, no frost armor. Alright, good snipe against the Raider. That at least helped. And that actually allows him to move away for now. The added movement speed that we have through the Unholy Aura is of course doing quite a bit of work here too. KiwiKaki again not mining from that base. So Deuce is really doing whatever he can in this situation. But at the same time, we also have to just realize how far behind he is in supply. I mean, that's nearly a 25 supply difference that we have between the two. And that army of the Orc players also getting stronger by the minute. Farseer is about to hit level 5. The Shadowhunter is in a very similar situation. Still has access to that Mana Stone. And he has a pretty big mana pool to boot. So those hexes are going to do work. And you look over to the Death Knight and the first thing you see is literally no mana. He has the Hex. Can't do anything. That has to be a TP. But can he even use it? Barely. And yep, gets the TP out. But things are looking worse and worse by the second for Deuce. The Undead currently sitting on 2,000 gold in his main gold mine. KiwiKaki nearly mined out to the top right as well. But of course we're seeing more Raiders coming in right now. The map control has completely gone over to the Orc player. And the Canadian player here is doing exceptionally well with this. Mixing a couple of the Kodo Beasts now in with those Raiders. Kodo Beasts can still go for the Devour once the fight starts. And we have the Wyvern as well. So you're dealing with a massive armada of units that can literally just like ensnare you on the ground the entire time, get the web in here, and make sure that you're not even running away. And the only thing that can really help an Undead in this position is the heroes. The problem is just simply the mana pool that we talked about already earlier. You look at that Lich and you see that he's on half mana. The Death Knight has, I think, also gobbled up another potion of mana. That helps him a bit. But this is one of those do-or-die pushes. KiwiKaki doesn't even have to go for that. He could just simply go for that base here, but he's sniping another statue. Free statue. And now he's starting to make his way up to the top, trying to defend his base, his expansion. A little bit worried maybe that in the long run he might not have the sustain, because again, Undead heroes, high level in the late game, are brutal to deal with. But this could be literally the last fight. Let's look at the Death Knight. Yes, has still a Town Portal, so Deuce is able to move out. I don't think he has a chance of actually taking down that expansion, but he at least will be able to retreat if need be. And here comes KiwiKaki. The Orc moves in. This time we're having Web for the Fiends, but if that's going to be a big deal, we're going to find out pretty soon. For now, it's the pressure on the Death Knight that's a huge problem. Has a potion of healing, might have to use that soon. And the Lich at least is safely in the backline, but he has no mana left anymore. Hits level 5 at least. DK moves out. Another Wyvern goes down. Fiend barely alive. 37 supply against 55. KiwiKaki still looking strong here, but we see the Lich on 5, level 3 Nova now for him, and the Death Knight nearly on 6. Now, I would be very surprised if he actually specs into his ultimate. Instead, we're most likely going to see an Unholy Aura on level 3, but he has another mana potion, and that's hugely important right now. You need to keep mana on that Death Knight. If you don't do that, then you are going to be murdered by your opponent fairly soon here. And talking about opponents, with that Farseer on level 5, we're seeing the Shadow Wolves now moving in too. Good damage still with a plus 20 here on the Lich. And now KiwiKaki just double checking what's happening. Does my opponent have an expansion? Just checking, okay, what about income? Can I just starve him out? Do I actually have to commit to a fight here? And he just sees, okay, there's no income any longer, so there's very little that my opponent can do. He's trying to use those Shadow Wolves to take down a few of the Acolytes, but KiwiKaki knows that he can slow play this. The longer this game goes, the more money he has, the better his position in terms of items that he can buy, an army that he can build. Because he knows that eventually the Undead is going to make a move. And then it's just a question of, can you defend against that push, yes or no? And if I'm in KiwiKaki's shoes, I'm going to be absolutely honest with you, I wouldn't even go for that attack right now. Because in the end, what can... Like, this is the best position for the Undead. You have access to your shop, you have also the Black Citadel in the back, but KiwiKaki finds at least a good approach towards that statue, takes that down. Death Knight in the middle, here comes the Coil Nova. Coil saves the Fiend, the Nova takes down one of the Raiders, and now another one of the air units about to fall. The healing wave a little bit too low, too slow as well. And the Wolves still doing work. No destroyers. Summonings are strong at this point. KiwiKaki on 48 supply. Still in the no upkeep. Same true for Deuce here, who's at 33. Here comes the level 5 Shadowhunter. And we all know of den Mush aufpassen. At the same time though, Deuce here relying again on those ranged units, trying to also retreat a little bit deeper into his own base to make sure that the Black Citadel can help out here. Another slow against the Raider. Does he have enough mana for another Coil Nova? It doesn't look like it, especially that Lich is having trouble when it comes to that. No coil either on the Fiend, level 6 for now. KiwiKaki still with a healing wave, keeping his boys alive. Kolobee's gobbled up one of the Fiends already, and another coil takes down the Raider, at least for now. Heavy attack by KiwiKaki, but also taking a couple more units down. So decent defense by Deuce, but the problem is he's the one eventually running out of resources. And KiwiKaki knows that. He wants to stay until the no upkeep and is trying to just trade units here. The more units he trades, the better for him. He just needs to make sure that it's an even trade at least. Death Knight is low, still has that mana potion by the way. Good healing wave coming through to make sure that that Khaldor is not falling. Incredibly important here, considering that it still has that one Fiend, which also obviously gives vision to the Undead for now. And that's the main target, as we're seeing, for Deuce. He wants to take it down with the Lich. The plus 20 damage are awesome, and yes, the Khaldor goes down. The Fiend gets dropped. Another 2 Wyvern already on the ground here, as the Undead is desperately trying to take this army apart and doing a great job at it so far at least. But the pressure is still on the Death Knight, as those 2 Wolves are moving in. Coil hitting once again, keeping the Fiend alive here. Wyvern about to fall once again, but so might the Death Knight, and here comes the Town Portal. Barely able to pull that through once again. Very, very worried about the Hex here. If that Hex hits, then the Death Knight is definitely toast. So good move by him. Also attempting to now save somehow that last Fiend, but well, not sure how to tell you, that's not gonna happen. Fiend goes down, Farseer on 5, Shadowhunter on 5, and the mana on the Shadowhunter alone is absolutely fantastic. The base is still mining, and now we're having, with everything that he has, Deuce on the way. Acolytes as well. He knows he needs to go for it. There's no other way. You hinge on those heroes. You need to make sure that the Coil Nova is hitting home hard. And he's actually expanding instead. Okay, I thought he was going for just a simply desperate attempt to go straight in here, but nope, not quite. KiwiKaki, let's check the items. Yes, has the Scroll of Town Portal, doesn't use it just yet. But boys, despite the fact that he's looking strong in this game so far, he's at 41 supply. That's not really all that much considering that Deuce is at 33. Those Undead's heroes are really pesky. The lack of destroyers is a problem though. The burrow goes down, but this might be the last fight or it might not be. There's a potion of lesser invulnerability on the Death Knight. Still the Lich with very little to no mana. Massive problem for him. But now we're having the Fiends being focused one after another. The Coil saving it for now. Level 6 Lich. Haven't seen that in a while. Doesn't have any mana though, so he can't even use his ultimate, even if you would go for it, which I think is unlikely, to say the least. Once again, Sauce about to lose the Fiend. The Chain Lightning coming through and taking it down. Another one attacked, and slowly and steadily the anti on the side of the Undead is gone. He has one more Fiend, and that's about it. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability already being used, but keep in mind that Hex is still available on the side of KiwiKaki, and he wants to go for another coil though onto the Raider. Down he goes. Statue is falling as well. The Hex comes through. The Death Knight might be toast here, and here it is. Hex comes in, and that is the end of the DK, and should be the end of the game. The GG, as we have the game end here, and KiwiKaki being successful in this second round of the GenoZ Cup.